welcome back. It's Maria and Lindsay, and we're here for Roomies review the movies because we were real college roommates. Lindsay has a degree in film. I reviewed films for like 20 years. So we're going over films that kind of got lost in the cracks, that we kind of missed, to go over them and see what was really going on.
Yes.
So this week, I have been able to choose Dune, 1984 Dune,
Yes, you did.
for Lindsay. I actually only saw the movie myself like a year ago, right when the new Dune came out on streaming, because I wanted to watch this one first before I watched that one. And then also my parents have always been sci-fi fans. So my dad has the Dune books and stuff like that. I remember seeing parts of the film when I was younger, but never the whole thing. I remember specifically the space navigators looking like giant worms. So, you know, I wanted to see it all. And like I had heard, of course, because my dad read the books, like a lot about Dune, the Bene Gesserit, the spice, all that kind of stuff. So I knew most of the basic references. But watching the movie is a completely different experience. Like,
Yeah.
I remember I was watching it with my dad and my cousin and my another cousin, and we're watching it, and there's a point where Baron Harkonnen just starts floating and flying. And I literally just burst out laughing. I burst out laughing because I was like, what is happening right now? Because you see him like drink like he's like covered in some kind of bug juice. He's drinking some bug juice, and then he's like drinking somebody's blood, and then he's floating. You're like, what the fuck is going? None of this is explained. Like, it was at that point I really had to ask my dad to pause.
Yes.
Because I was like, you have to explain this to me right now. Because I don't understand what's happening.
God, yeah.
So it was after that I, of course, did my usual YouTube research binge rabbit hole to find out what the heck was going on with this movie. Because I really love the costuming and the set design, like a lot. Especially for, it's supposed to be someplace in the future. But you're getting a lot of detailing that's from like the early 1900s. So like 1910s with like the Gibson girl hairstyles. And then like the cloaks and stuff like that. Then you get kind of like more 1915s like imperial kind of thing when they're on their home planets or whatever, or seeing the emperor. And then you have the whole even kind of more ancient, like the whole veils things with the Bene Gesserits and everything, and like so I really love that. I think the visual style is really compelling, very singular, very unique. And I really enjoy seeing it. Like, I was like, wow, this actually looks really cool, considering again it's 1984. Yeah. So we're not doing a whole bunch of CGI.
No.
We're trying.
They were definitely trying. They have an E for effort.
It's more like animation.
Yeah.
But again, it's 1984, which means Star Wars just ended. So that was like, we were talking about Star Wars earlier, because Star Wars lifts a lot from Dune. Almost to the point you think there might be a copyright infringement.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Star Wars was one of the first films to use the special effects in the way that they did. And to have it look like something good, So that was very hard and expensive to do. And they they got Industrial Light and Magic, who does the special effects for Star Wars, to help with the work on Dune, but they were so consumed with what they were doing with Star Wars, we get what we got with Dune. Now, when I was watching the movie, I could tell the way that it's put together that a lot of things were missing. Like I could feel like things were missing. Did you feel that too?
Yeah, because it was very confusing from the jump.
Mm-hmm. And to me, it didn't feel like it was a storytelling issue. It just felt like something had been cut.
Yeah, it didn't flow.
No. And so when I went back to look at all the videos on YouTube, like talking about it, the making of and stuff like that, to find like the studio had cut this 5-hour film.
Yeah.
Hour film. I was like, oh, now that makes sense.
Yeah. And the fact that he wanted it to be 10 hours. Who would have sat through that?
Well, you know, they didn't have streaming at the time, right?
Right. But there's no way, streaming or not, I'm not sitting through 10 hours of that.
Oh, but did you watch Game of Thrones?
Not in one sitting.
Of course, but not one thing, but you did watch it.
Yes, I did.
So that's something, you know, something they didn't have then that we have now that could totally be done. And is being done in a prequel that's going to be on HBO Max. It looks really good. I enjoy it. I enjoyed the trailer, so
yeah, I feel like now we have the technology to pull off this story.
Yeah.
Because the technology was not there to pull off this story. Yeah. One thing that I was confused on is if I was supposed to take the movie seriously.
You are. Yes. Yeah. Because the cuts and the cuts that come with that basically it's so weird the way it's put together because you have all this voiceover that's explaining everything. Mm-hmm. But then you have these moments like with Baron Harkonnen where he starts flying that aren't explained at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's going on? Yeah.
Right. And that, I mean, the voiceover is annoying, but excuse me, the videos that you put on that playlist, they did put a lot of things into perspective on why this movie came out the way it did. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they explained why they did a whole lot of voiceovers, but it was very confusing watching it, them doing the voiceovers, because it's like, okay, we're hearing a lot of what they're thinking, but it's multiple people thinking. So are they like communicating? Are they reading
people's minds? Or
are they listening? Like we don't know, because it's like, what, like, huh? Like
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's weird.
Yeah, it is. One of the things, tell me, I'm not really going too much into the plot for this one. It's kind of hard to tell. You have these royal houses. You have an emperor. You have the Harkonnens, right? Who are over the planet of Arrakis, also known as Dune, where this psychoactive drug called spice comes from, and it helps people see the past and the future. And then if you have enough spice, consume enough spice, you can actually fold space. So of course they want to be able to do that, right? Mm-hmm. And so spice is extremely valuable. Mm-hmm. Like I think you said like a box or a carton of spice can buy you a whole planet.
Yeah.
Right.
But so who do you buy the planet from?
Right? Who sells the planet? Right? How do we do that?
Right. Who's selling it? How did you acquire it?
Trust capitalism to find a way. You know?
Right.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You also have House Atreides, which is another royal house. And in the beginning of the film, the Empire has taken away, the Emperor has taken away Harkonnen's ability to mine spice on Dune and has given it to Atreides because he's afraid of Lord Atreides' growing popularity because he seems to be a genuinely good person. And people like that. Shock. So he sets up the Atreides to get this production so that the Harkonnens can go and destroy them. Mm-hmm. That's really the whole plan.
Yeah.
We also have this whole religious undertaking going on where the indigenous people of Dune have this prophecy about Muad'Dib, who's going to come and save them and like create a paradise for them and stuff like that. So we have this really interesting political machination between Paul and his mother Jessica, trying to basically like force this prophecy to come true. Mm-hmm. Because the Harkonnens attacked kill the Lord, and now they're the only ones on the planet, and now they're like, oh, we gotta survive.
Mm-hmm.
How do we do that? Oh, well, let's make friends with the people here, right? We can be, an alliance and fight against the Harkonnens, still control the spice trade, but manage to stay alive by taking advantage of this prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see here. Tell me what you think of Paul. Do you think Paul is like a good guy or a villain, or what do you think of Paul?
Well, first, a shout out to his blowout
Oh yes,
because it was perfect.
it was perfect.
Like, I wonder how much time in the morning he spent blowing
Mhm.
it out. But I was a bit confused on Paul as well because I remember a part of them saying that she was supposed to have all women or all female
Yes,
births, and she
yes,
defied them and had a male birth. And I'm
yes,
like, that's kind of backwards, but sure,
yes.
whatever.
So
But
the Benny Jesuit can control what type of child they have.
yeah,
It's their decision.
right,
And
right.
so they've been doing this thing with all the royal houses of, because they have a prophecy too. They have a future they're trying to bring about.
Mm-hmm.
So they've basically installed Bene Gesserit sisters in many houses, and also like made sure they had children in these royal houses to try and create this future that they want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Jessica, what is part of that? She's
Okay.
supposed to have a girl because like all of the most of the like psychic abilities
Mm-hmm.
seem to pass through women and not men, because there's various tests that you have to pass to become one of the Bene Gesserits, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we see Paul going through that where he has to stick his hand in the box, and the box just causes immense pain,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to go through it because if you scream, they'll kill you.
Right. Right. And she had that
And
little pointer thing to his head.
yes, she had it to him real close and quickly too. I was like, wait a
Mm-hmm.
minute,
Right.
did I
Right.
consent to this test? Hold on.
Right. But yeah, I was a bit confused with if I was supposed to be on Paul's side or not,
Mm-hmm.
so was I was just there for the ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at the end of the film, for me, I was like, is Paul not a good guy? I
Yeah.
don't think Paul's a good guy. I don't think he's, the good guy that the
Mm-mm.
white hat that you get in movies, right?
Yeah.
You're thinking, oh, well, of course the Harkonnens are bad. Like, obviously, they do so, like, David Lynch went over the top for this character. Uh, Baron Harkonnen is supposed to be, like, very large in every way, and he does have this mechanism that helps him move around by floating. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't fly like that, you know. It
Yeah.
reminded me very much of like one of the last scenes in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory where they do the fizzy lifting drink and they
Mm,
just keep flying. Have you seen Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
mm-mm. No, I've
Wow.
seen the original movie with Gene
Yeah, that's what I'm
Wilder.
talking about. That's what I'm talking about with Gene Wilder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
You saying a series? I thought you were talking about like a series.
No, no, no. The
Okay.
movie. Sorry.
Yeah. 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 Okay. I've seen that one.
Uh, okay. So, um, so yeah, he's supposed to float and things like that. He's supposed to be corpulent. Um, but there are things that happen to him. My dad actually explained to me like he's actually a victim of the Bene Jesuits. Uh, they wanted him to bear a child with one of them, and he didn't want to do it. And
Okay.
so they used the voice on him to make him do it
Mm,
more than once.
right.
So there's a lot of trauma with that guy. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, well, that would have been interesting to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because yeah,
Well,
he
all
turned
this voiceover
yeah,
exposition.
and so much is left out.
Right. Still,
Yeah.
you know.
But yeah, he turns into this like pedophile person, and like he's very creepy towards his nephew Fade, who's played by Fade
Yeah.
rather. And they don't really give him anything to do other than one fight scene, which is really unfortunate
Yeah.
because he does play a bigger role in and especially in the newer movie, he plays a bigger role. It's like, why couldn't they just, if you have Sting in this role, you should give him a little more. But hey, who knows? That was probably on the cutting room floor because it was supposed to be a 5-hour movie.
Right, right. And like, did he ever talk?
A little.
Yeah.
I think in the
Maybe,
last scene, he did.
maybe, I mean, maybe that was on purpose. I mean, because I don't know how great of an actor Sting is.
Right, but we also don't really get told much about his character.
Yeah.
Like, why is he fighting him?
Right.
What
Right.
is his personal motivation? Like,
Right. Right.
we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't know too much of anything. One thing that I did pull from this pretty early on was that Austin Powers pulled from this movie.
Many movies pull from this movie.
Yeah. And yeah, I think when the nasty looking fat guy, the
Yeah,
first scene he was on,
Baron Harkonnen.
yeah, yeah, I was just like, yep, that's fat bastard.
Oh well, I don't know. Maybe fat suits and I don't know.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
But David Lynch was the one to add like all the pustules on his face and stuff. He's not supposed to be like that super gross. Like, come on.
Yeah, that was
And
disgusting.
yeah, and also like, oh, you mean the fat guy who is gay is also the villain? Okay, like,
Yeah. Right, right.
all right, but
Right. But I mean, we got to put it in that time frame when this was written and
right.
this was put out, you know, that was
Well,
an easy trope.
Well, it's not even that that was the easy trope. Like we have the whole setup back in the I want to say in the 1930s where they institute the codes, right? Where you
Mhm.
can only show gay people in certain ways on film.
Right. 1933. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of those ways is being the villain.
Hmm. Right.
So, but really there aren't any heroes in this story.
No,
Not really.
no, no. There's nobody
So,
to root for or anything like that.
no,
You just
no.
watching it.
I root for the sandworms. It's
And
their
why?
home. It's their home, and they're over here destroying their habitat.
Okay.
Go eat them up.
Okay. I give you that. Um. Now, another early on scene was when they were talking to that monster.
Oh,
Like,
the space folder person. Yes,
yeah. Now,
the character design of that also was David Lynch.
David Lynch got he got some issues because the first thing I saw, I said, "Ooh, yeah,
Definitely looks like it has a vagina for a mouth.
yes, like a worn out vagina."
Okay.
Yeah, like for real, like that must have been on the track a few times. Like,
Oh no.
I was like, "Ooh,
It's very weird.
yeah," and y'all just gonna keep showing. Oh, okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, my mind went immediately there. Like I said in my tweet, and I was just like, I'm a lady. I'm not gonna say this.
I saw you. I'm a lady. I'm not gonna say how
Right.
worn out this vagina looks.
Right. But just know it was worn. It was worn. It had the tread was missing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they were doing there. David Lynch is known for his very odd and offbeat kind of things going on in his films. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, but again, he was so upset with how the studio cut it up that he put a different name as the director,
Yeah.
which I don't blame him.
I do not blame him not one bit.
Yeah.
And he still like I was watching on one of those videos, like he was not here for talking about it, talking about how he felt, doing his own director's cut, none of that. He was not in the building for that.
Yeah, which is a shame because I would actually be interested in the director's cut.
I think especially now with the reimagining, going on, and then the part two, and having a lot of people become fans of it, in present day, I think a director's cut of the original would be very successful, you know.
Yeah,
So
I would definitely take a few days to watch it, though.
yeah.
But I would love to see like what his original vision was.
I can honestly see people going to the theaters and spending a whole day at the theaters to watch it.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So we haven't even talked about the cast in this movie. So we have Kyle McLaughlin, I think that's what you say it, McLaughlin,
Yeah.
playing Paul Atreides, and
Mhm.
I think this is one of his first roles. And he's like 26 here. He's supposed to be betraying a 16-year-old.
That's a grown 16-year-old.
Very grown. I mean, he looks great though. Like again, like we said, that blowout,
That blowout was everything.
his profile, like he looks like a little aristocratic, prince.
Hmm.
Um, he also after this like formed a relationship with David Lynch, and he's in some of his other projects like Twin Peaks, Blue Velvet, and
Hmm.
some other stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, I knew him most from Desperate Housewives,
Yeah.
but he
Think
does
you're
a
not alone there.
yeah. I loved Desperate Housewives.
Hmm.
Also, if you did love Desperate Housewives, that creator has another show called Why Women Kill, and it's also really great. Um, but yeah, he was in the film. He was in the Flintstones. He was in Showgirls. Have you seen Showgirls?
I've seen bits and pieces.
Oh,
I've never sat down and watched the whole thing.
so he was in Showgirls in a very famous sex scene.
Oh, the
With
pool.
the pool.
Yeah. No, I've seen that scene.
Where he's like, "Are you trying to drown this girl? Like, it seems
Right.
like you're trying to kill her. I don't. This cannot be pleasurable. I feel like this is not."
No, I don't see anybody recreating that in real life and actually enjoying it.
Yeah, yeah. Because I
Yeah.
was like, how did she not just like slap him at the end? Like, I'm
You're
trying to
like, calm
breathe.
down. Like,
Right. But he's been in How I Met Your Mother. How I Met Your Father. He's been in Portlandia. He's been in Agents of Shield. Currently, he's in Fallout.
mhm. The man is working.
He is working. He stays working.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, yeah, the 1984 is definitely one of his first roles. He's cute. He's a cute kid here, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
We also have some other pretty famous faces, at least famous to me. So Linda Hunt, she's a housekeeper for the Atreides, and so there is one scene in particular in the movie that I really really liked is when Paul is being hunted by this assassin bot that floats and is attracted to motion. And that scene, I was really like tense. It was really well. It was really well done to me. Like, ooh, like
Mhm.
how are you going to get out of this? And
Mhm.
so when she comes to the door. So that's Linda Hunt. And she was in a few other things, like especially in the 80s, playing, kind of strange characters or something, because she's the little person. That's what Hollywood likes to do. Uh,
Wasn't she like in Matilda or something like that?
Let me see. Is she in Matilda? Because she's still working too, I believe.
Yeah. She was in Pocahontas.
Yeah,
Yours,
Pocahontas.
ours. Popeye, Stranger Than Fiction.
Oh, wow, Popeye.
Yeah.
That's one I have not seen. Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah. I remember seeing Kindergarten Cop.
Oh, she was in Solo. Yeah, Star Wars. Her voice. Her voice is also very famous as well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
She
so you have
Devil.
her, and then you
She was
have.
in She Devil. That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
We have Patrick Stewart, of course.
Yeah. The
Uh,
goat.
the goat, and like, I think he's 40 in this movie, and then he was like 40 for the next 40 years. Like he looks the same
Yeah.
for the next 40 years until now, and he's 83. Like
Right, right. He still look good, but I mean
he
he's
does
always
look
gonna
good.
look old.
Yeah, it's I think it's the well he has a little bit of hair in this one, but I think, just like shaving kept him looking 40 for till he was 80.
Mm-hmm.
Also, being a stand-up individual can help with that. Uh
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so those are some of the faces I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize they were in this movie." I knew Sting was in the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know who else was in the movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, okay." So this was kind of a big deal when it was coming about. Like people who have real talent were very interested in it. Um,
Yeah, it was a popular book.
yeah,
So I can definitely see it being something that a lot of people want to be
yeah,
involved
yeah. It's one of the best-selling sci-fi series of all time.
in. Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, okay, all right, sure."
Right. Right. And I can definitely see a lot of people being pissed off at the movie back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have been upset too.
Yeah.
Because looking at the film, I was like, this can only be for people who have read the book because it wouldn't make any kind of sense to anybody else. Only to find out people who read the book are like, what?
Right.
Right?
Right.
For instance, one of the things they kept bringing up in the videos that I sent you was how at the end of the movie it's raining,
Mm-hmm.
which would seem to be great. It's a desert planet, and they're all very concerned about moisture. Like they wear these moisture suits to turn their urine and their sweat into basically Gatorade or some kind of coolant, at least while you're out in the sun. Um, and in the newer film, you see even like more of their reverence for water and stuff and how they handle that. Um, but rain would have destroyed the planet.
A little bit.
No, it would have killed the worms. Well, the
Yeah.
water is toxic to worms,
Yeah.
and the worms make the spice.
Right.
And spice is extremely valuable.
Right. Just a little bit.
So, when the Atreides like finally, well, after the Harkonnens attack the Atreides and the Atreides are joining with people of the planet, they start messing up the whole spice production.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about spice is that it's addictive.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all these people on all these different worlds who are taking spice to try and get these power, these psychic powers, and suddenly their supply is cut off, and
Mm.
the withdrawal is horrible, and they don't have a substitute for it, and the withdrawal can kill you.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
And do we
Now,
get that in the movie?
no, I got it in the video that you sent.
Right.
Now with the new ones, is it still spice or did they change that up?
It's still spice.
It's still.
That's from the book.
Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, it's still spice.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, the spice is getting to me. Yeah.
yeah. So one of the reasons, of course, why the people of Arrakis, their eyes are blue because of their exposure to spice. Apparently, this was also David Lynch's invention, but I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I wasn't mad at that.
Mhm. I liked the way their eyes like kind of glowed. It wasn't just like their pupils had turned blue, but
Mm-hmm.
their eyes glowed blue, blue within blue, which I thought, oh,
Right.
that's really cool. And it's basically based on the whole water of life thing they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because the water of life is an extraction from the worm.
Okay.
And so you have to become a what do they call it, a grandmother or whatever, like the head Bene Jesuit priestess. To become one of them, you have to drink the water of life. The water of life acts as a poison,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to have this like immense control of your body to convert it into something harmless. And once you do that, your psychic powers expand like exponentially. But it's very hard to do, and no men have survived it except for Paul, because he is the one.
Yeah.
He is the Kwisatz Haderach. Which how did he come up with that name? Like wild, but yeah. Another thing this movie does that's not in the book and not in the new Dune movies is the whole weirding weapon, right? because they
Mhm.
have this whole
Okay.
because they have this thing called the weirding way, which I think is learned from the Bene Gesserits, where it's a martial arts form basically.
Mhm.
Because at this point people have shields, right? They shield everything. Shield your ship. You have a personal shield and stuff like that, and it makes projectiles like kind of unimportant because they
Mhm.
can't penetrate the shield. The only thing that can penetrate the shield, they say, is the slow knife. So that's one of the quotes you might hear in other places. The slow knife penetrates the shield.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I do
So
remember saying that.
that's why they have like a bunch of swords and stuff like that, hand to hand combat, things like that. Except in, they decided to just go with like a bunch of explosives, which can be useful like against the ships and stuff like that. But the whole idea of the weirding weaponry being this kind of thing where you use your voice to point this force to destroy the thing just kind of doesn't work with the fact that they have shields because it's a projectile.
Yeah. Right. Right.
So they don't use that in the two Dune movies, the two new Dune movies. Because I was waiting for it and I was like, well, where is it?
Oh, so you wanted to see it?
I thought it was part of the book because
Oh, okay.
it's such a detailed thing that they do, right? And they have this
Yeah.
training and everything. They introduce you to it and show you how to use it and show you what happens if you misuse it. Da-da-da. So I didn't think, oh, they just made this for the movie.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. But
uh,
I can definitely understand why they was like, yeah, no, we're not gonna do
it
it.
doesn't really work, right?
Yeah. So
That's fine. That's fine too because it's a very odd weapon.
it is.
Hmm.
It is. And for them to have spent so much time on it for it not to have been anywhere else but in the movie, that is a bit different.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah, but it's been one of these books that's been considered like unfilmable for a long time. Similar to, oh gosh, what was that movie with Ava? Gosh, the director. What's her name?
Ava DuVernay.
Yeah, Ava DuVernay. She did this. She did that film. That was based on a series of books. That starred Stormy Reed. That came out a few
Mhm.
years ago. Let me see. I'm gonna track it down here. A Wrinkle in Time.
Okay.
So A Wrinkle in Time. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
She tried real hard, but it's just the concepts in this book is just extremely hard to make visual.
Oh yeah. Wasn't Oprah in this?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, it didn't do that good either.
No. It's just some books have visuals and concepts that when you try to, well, not visuals, but like descriptions and concepts that when you try to make them visual, it's
Mm.
extremely difficult to
Yeah.
get across that way.
Right. Right.
Um,
And then a lot of books, especially when you're dealing with something that you have to rely on your imagination.
mhm.
Um, because of you relying on your imagination, it can be something of a letdown when you see somebody else's vision and it doesn't align with yours.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean that's one thing, but then also it doesn't align with the story. That was
yeah.
so that can be another thing. But yeah, and also Dune has a lot of very intricate backstory and like intricate society workings that will require more than 2 hours.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like if you tried to do all of Game of Thrones in 2 hours,
Oh, I'm not here for that at all.
it's not gonna work.
Not in
You
the
know,
least, you know.
mm-mm.
It should.
Yeah. So that
Um, so that's probably the reason why they decided to split it up for the remakes,
absolutely
which makes sense.
yes. Yes, because there's so much going on, and I was like,
Mm.
that makes sense. And they're actually like way there. I think there were like 20 something books in Dune, but a lot of those were not written by the original author
Oh, okay.
because he had passed away, and
Mhm.
I'm not sure which few of the first ones he wrote, but A lot of them aren't. A lot of those are after his death.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this movie is supposed to encompass, I think, the first 2 or 3 books, while the newer releases are just the first book.
Okay.
And I think they fare a lot better with that. For instance, Paul falls in love with Chani, right? And in this movie, we have no idea who Chani is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she barely has any lines, if she had at all. If she has any, all we know is that Paul's in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I don't know.
Right.
What
It's
was their
that's
meet
what it
cute?
is.
No idea. Why
Yeah.
does she like him? Who knows?
Right. Right. Like
What's
we
her
don't,
favorite color? Yeah.
right. We have no character build.
No.
Just is what it is.
Yeah. She's just there.
Yeah. And we're supposed to care. That's the killer part. We're supposed
Right, right. Based on what?
Right. Oh,
Oh,
no,
you
I'm
okay?
here. I'm
Oh,
just I have to plug it up. I have to plug
okay.
up here.
Okay.
That's all. But I'm here. Yeah.
All right. All right. But yeah, at the time, uh, Tom Cruise, Kevin Costner, Kenneth Branagh, Val Kilmer were all auditioned for the role of Paul, right?
Mhm.
Like, this was very, like you were saying, is very popular and sought after. Helena Bonham Carter was originally cast as a princess. Like, so it was a big deal. So I can only imagine how heartbroken people were.
Yeah.
When
Yeah. I've been heartbroken at the theater before, so I can definitely imagine if I absolutely loved a book and then I see the film adaptation and it's complete trash. I would
especially if you worked on the movie. Like, this is not the movie that we made.
right, right. Yeah. And this is another example of when um the company should just be the company and not have their hands in the pot of filmmaking.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Just cut the check. That's all I need. Cut the check. You
Because
know?
Lynch actually got it to 3 hours, which
Right.
these days would not be too out of the ordinary.
Right. 3 hours will be acceptable for such a wildly popular story. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they would have 100% accepted a 3 hour movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that they really thought that cutting an hour would be okay after it had already been cut a couple of times at that point.
Right.
So yeah, and then we replace it with a whole bunch of whispering exposition.
Yes. Lots of ASMR exposition.
Yeah.
And I'm one who actually typically does not have a problem with exposition. Um, but this was a lot. This was a lot. So it
Yeah.
was a lot.
Yeah.
For it to be a movie, you're supposed to be showing and not
Mm.
telling.
Right.
And then
Right.
there's so much you also left out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much.
I would have been pissed as the director of the film. I would have been pissed as well. So
Mhm.
I
Like,
definitely understand.
yeah. Because Paul has a little sister eventually.
Hmm.
And in the movie, she's supposed to be like 2, but because her mother drank the water of life while she was pregnant with her, which she wasn't supposed to do, the little girl has all these immense powers,
Hmm.
right? Which is why she sounds so strange.
Yeah, but it reminds you of The Exorcist.
Yeah, it could, I guess, but like, also, could you tell us? Could somebody
Right.
show us why is this happening?
Right. Right. Just a little, backstory would have went a real long way.
Mm-hmm.
But you got this little kid sounding like Linda Blair is not
Yeah.
it's not going over well because
No.
now it turned into a horror.
Yeah. You're like,
You know?
what is going on?
Right. Right. So
No one child should have all that power.
no.
Children do not have self control.
No. No. And we're looking at this little kid with bass in her voice.
Yes.
What are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people are still traumatized from The Exorcist. So
Ah, I know.
yeah, like yeah, yeah, that wasn't cool.
But yeah. So it's it was a film that was done badly by the studio.
Hmm.
So this is why I don't necessarily call it a bad film, because it's not the film that they made. It's the film the studio wanted to put out.
Hmm.
Um, and then also you can see like all the work that's gone into it, uh, and like the performances are sometimes like super over the top,
Hmm.
but then you're also like you can feel the hole there. Like there's a hole here.
Yeah.
You know, I can't see where it is, but I feel it. And then also like just the costuming and stuff like that is just so great. I love it a
Hmm.
lot. The score is very singular. It's done by Toto. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't.
Hmm.
Um, but you can see they were trying really hard. Like there was a lot of love put into this.
Hmm.
So why did it turn out like this?
Right. Right.
Right?
Again, the studio just need to cut the check. Don't get involved in the creative process.
They
Just
shot themselves in the foot.
yeah, big time, big time. Like, and you can't do nothing but blame the studio for that. You know,
Mm-mm.
because we don't
'Cause-
have nothing else to go off of because we will never get a director's cut.
Exactly.
So
So
maybe he'll have a change of heart with the prequel coming out and all the success that it has now, and with a surgence of people's interest in the original.
yeah,
You know, maybe he will come to have a change of heart. But
that'd be great.
it would be great, but I don't see it happening. The
I
way
don't
they make
either.
it sound is that he has such a humongous disdain for this film.
Yes.
So yeah.
And he said he's not even interested in the new ones. So I was like, dang.
Right, right.
All right. But
Mm-hmm.
this one, like the budget was $42 million, right? In 1983. But it made worldwide 37.9 million,
Yeah.
which definitely would be considered a flop and a failure.
Yep.
So all of the sequels were, dashed.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we're not doing this again.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Um, but I like the themes it brings up. You have the themes of colonization, right? And how they're basically trying to take over the planet from the people who already live there. They're hurting the natural wildlife there. Um, Also, the whole thing with religion and politics,
Mm-hmm.
and how they can mix to manipulate people to get the folks in power what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Which I didn't know what to expect as far as theme was concerned, but I was really surprised. I was like, oh, okay, this is actually pretty dense. I like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it would have been cool to have a better execution.
Definitely.
Yeah, because it could have really, said something. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I'm sure they were probably thinking of that for the sequels, because a lot of times the first movie is just set up. So,
Yeah. Right, right, right.
but yeah, it could have had a lot of really cool things to say about that. The new movies do. They go more with those themes because they have more time, right?
Hmm.
And probably a lot less studio intervention
Yeah.
to tell the story. So I do appreciate that. I was really surprised by that in this movie. Also with the whole idea of maybe he's not the good guy, which is very unusual for films, period, actually.
Hmm.
To have like who seems to be the protagonist not actually be maybe 100% a good person.
Hmm.
Maybe he's gonna lead them to a holy war and kill 6 billion people.
you know, small things.
Oh, right. And maybe we should think about how we give power to people based on things we can't prove.
Hmm.
or things they haven't even proven. Although he does have to come in and like do several different trials to try and like become a part of the people there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was also, and they do it really well in the new film. But also, I'm so over. Here comes a person from privileged class, typically white, to a new place with indigenous people, and now he's the best of the indigenous people, and he's the leader.
Right. Like they were just wandering lost without him until he arrived to
Right.
save the day,
Right.
you know. And then, excuse me, the indigenous people, like, nope, or nobody, period, is of color.
Yeah. In this movie, everybody is white.
Yeah. Like, there's not a hint of color in sight.
No. Which seems odd for a desert planet.
For a desert planet in the future.
A desert planet anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Seems very odd. But there are definitely a lot more people of color in the new movies, especially as the Fremen. The Fremen are the indigenous people of Arrakis. I keep forgetting the name. But yeah. There are some other problems there with how they kind of take a lot from different Middle Eastern cultures for the Fremen. But you don't really get like a lot of probably actual people. Like it just seems very much like costume.
Yeah.
And then in the new films, the Atreides don't have that same like kind of styling, that aristocratic styling that they have in this one, which I missed a lot. Because you know it's the desert, you don't have a lot of visual stuff happening to you. So you have to create a lot of visual interest and costumes and things like that, which they kind of didn't do so much in the new ones, in my opinion, as compared to this one. Like I love the fantasticness of and everything in this one, for sure. I think it adds a really great element to make it feel all very strange. Oh yeah, this is not anywhere close to anything resembling Earth.
Yeah.
But also another thing I want to talk about before we do the rating is Star Wars. Lindsay has never seen Star Wars.
Just put me on
Not
blast.
a movie, not an animated series, not a Disney Plus series.
I thought this was a safe place. Like,
oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to give you a false impression. One of the articles I share with Lindsay is everything Star Wars took from Dune. Because if you're familiar with Star Wars and you see Dune, you're going to be like, huh, all of these things line up. Seems real odd.
Yeah.
They're very, very similar. Like even in Star Wars, there is an element called spice that is very expensive. Now it doesn't play the same kind of role that it does for Dune. Like it's not a big driving factor, if anything, too much. Not in the movies, at least. So you have that. You have Luke being from a desert planet where they farm moisture, right?
Okay.
I was like, huh, okay. You have these beings called Sarlacc. Sarlaccs. Sarlaccs are sandworms. Quite literally, very the same. They look the
same. Okay.
Yeah. They of course you have the Empire in both, right? And the Empire is always evil, right?
Yeah.
So the Stormtroopers as the Sardaukar and Rebel Alliance is kind of similar to the Fremen, although not exactly. There are some similarities between Princess Leia and Aaliyah Atreides, right? If not, the names sound alike. Jedi mind tricks are very similar to the voice. So the Jedi can like wave their hand and say whatever, and you'll agree, right?
Okay.
Like, you don't want to go there right now. You'll say, I don't want to go there right now. So that's very similar. And Anakin Skywalker, who eventually becomes Darth Vader, is kind of Paul Atreides because he also has like a prophecy about him bringing balance to the light and the dark side and all that kind of stuff. So, once you watch like a Star Wars property at some point, you'll, you'll see some of those similarities as well.
Right, right. I guess we need to end this reign of me not seeing any Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm not saying you got to watch it all because there's a lot
Yeah.
out there and not all is good. But like,
Yeah.
but let's go to our rating.
All right. So we have our rating system. We have one movie real trash AF, two it exists, three entertaining, four great, five a true classic.
What
Marlene.
would you give it, Lindsay?
All right. A two.
A two, it exists.
It exists.
But it's not what keeps it from being trash in your mind.
Um, I think what keeps it from being trash is the fact that I know that this wasn't what it was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I do I do kind of give them a little leeway for that. But again, the moral of the story is studios just cut the check. Do not get involved with the creative process.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Let the shareholders be disappointed. I give it a 3 for entertaining
Okay.
because I did find it entertaining. Even probably at the price where they didn't want the specific reaction that I had, it was still entertaining to me.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the themes that they present in the movie as well. I really like Brian Eno's score, part of the score, as opposed to Toto's. Um, and then also the set design, the costumes, I think are really great, very singular, very.
Oh, oh, sorry. Hold on.
What was this?
This is from something else.
Okay.
Yeah. I was trying to click on something else and clicked on that. Sorry. Yeah. But as you're speaking, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the themes. I love the costumes and the sets. I think those have a lot of I think they stick with you.
Mm-hmm.
I like that you can tell they are trying to do something new and different.
Mm-hmm.
And I really appreciate that, even though it's not fully successful.
Yeah.
I like seeing people take risks and do new things. And even if it's not fully successful, it's going to inspire other people to do new things and take risks as well
Mm-hmm.
and bring new things to media instead of, doing franchises all the time.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'll give them an E for effort.
Yeah. Oh, E for effort. Okay. Yeah. Also, there's so many things from the movie that I've heard in other places. We talked about, how Dune basically birthed Star Wars, but
Mm-hmm.
also like what I was saying, the slow knife penetrates the shield.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why I'm watching Mayfair Witches, which is a property based on Anne Rice, who did Interview with the Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And in the first episode, she says that.
Oh wow.
What? What? And she was like, "Yeah, it's just something some guy said to me in a bar one time." I was like, "That's okay." Shout
Yeah.
out to Dune, I guess.
Right. Right.
And stuff like we were talking about the Fat Boy Slim video with Christopher Walken.
Mm-hmm.
He's like dancing around this hotel. That itself has been iconic and like done over and
Right.
over for various award shows and like a bunch of other stuff. That alone, but part of the song, which is Fat Boy Slim and oh gosh, I forgot who the other person on the song was, but is "Walk Without Rhythm and You Won't Attract the Worm."
So it's like Dome references all over.
All over.
But the cultural impact is there. We
Mm-hmm.
just needed a movie to accompany it.
Right.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, so what's your pick for me for next time?
All right. So for next week, let's see. Let's go to this list. Because I have an idea, but I just want to make sure. Uh, let's see. Mm, let me double check this one.
I gotta know now.
Nope, it's not on here. Okay, so what's the movie called? Def Jam's How to Be a Player.
How to Be a Player. Wasn't that Bill Bellamy?
Yep, Bill Bellamy.
Yeah.
I believe it's on Tubi.
Okay. 1997. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember Bill Bellamy.
Oh no, it's on Stars.
Okay, that works too.
Yep. Yeah, it's on Stars. So that will be what we are watching next time.
All right.
So be interesting to see how I feel about this movie in 2024 because I liked it in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
It probably has been since the 90s since I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
be interested to see what I think about it. I just didn't check into it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was cute back then, so we'll see because I'm sure it's gonna be a lot of problematic things in that damn movie. I already know.
Yeah, I mean Bill Bellamy, I remember liking him sometimes, like back then.
Yeah, I got introduced to him from MTV,
Yeah.
and he was dope as a VJ. But I didn't know he was a comedian. So when I started watching like his stuff on like Def Comedy Jam and stuff like that, I was like, oh, he's not bad. And then I found out that he's like super intelligent.
Oh.
So yeah, like he was supposed to like go get an engineering degree or something like that, and he ended up betting on himself with
Oh.
entertainment instead.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, but yeah.
All right. So join us next time, Roomies, for How to Be a Player.
Yep.
And that'll be what, episode 55?
No, it will be episode 58.
Oh, wow. 58. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right.
we're getting up there.
We're getting up there.
Yes. So, Maria, where can we find you?
You can find me online pretty much anywhere. If I'm there, you'll find me at Valar More Dollars. That's VALARMOR Dollars. I'm also on another podcast called Nerdgasm Noir, where it's 6 Black women talking about nerdy, geeky pop culture things. So you can come on by there. We just released our latest episode where we're explaining the Kendrick and Drake brief to a senior citizen pastor. So you should definitely check that out. Where can they find you, Lindsay?
You can find me everywhere at L_Ranelle. That's L_RANELLE. And also on my other podcast, The Ish We Talk, where me and my cousin, we talk about various things. One thing that we talked about this last episode was the Juneteenth pop out that Kendrick Lamar did. So come to find out from one of the viewers, they told us that the Mexicans are mad at the lack of representation at the Juneteenth celebration.
Sure. I'll believe when I see it.
Oh boy, did I see it!
Yeah, I'm gonna have to see that.
And when I'll send you the clip because they were really on a podcast, completely ignorant to
Was
what.
it men on a podcast?
Yeah, it was 3
Okay,
Mexicans.
never mind.
Right.
No.
But yeah, they were completely ignorant to what Juneteenth even was. They thought it represented a massacre, either in Tulsa or somewhere else. But that's not the point. The point is, it wasn't no Mexicans at the Juneteenth celebration.
No.
And they didn't want to make it a race thing, but there was no Mexicans at the Juneteenth celebration. So when I tell you my blood was boiling.
Not mine. Because yeah, all right, sure.
It's just the lack.
That's funny. Whatever. Tell me about how you deal with the Black Mexicans in Mexico.
Yeah,
because they're there because they didn't want to be enslaved. Like,
right. Or just the pure fact that Google is right there.
yeah.
You
I'm
know,
forever thankful to my parents for making me look up things as a kid.
you know, Juneteenth has always been a thing way before it was something that white people knew about.
Yeah, way before it was a federal holiday.
Right, way before it was a federal holiday. Like it's always been a thing
Mhm.
um here specifically. And like I even performed one year in a Juneteenth celebration. So it's like we know what Juneteenth is. And that was one of the things that we talked about as well. Like, do we feel that now that it's like widely known that it's kind of getting saturated and people are having ignorant comments like those Mexicans did on that podcast. So it's like,
Non-black people typically have a problem with black people having complete ownership over anything.
right.
Period. The way this country is set up, anything created by black people is for everyone.
Hmm.
So why isn't this for us too?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
You're 100% correct on that. And that's the part that's the problem. Like some things should be gatekeep.
Well, it's not even
Gate-
that in well, yeah, for sure. But it's not even that this would necessarily it's just not involving anybody else. Like it's just that's
Yeah.
just not the facts of the matter. So
Right, right. And I was just like, don't nobody trip on Cinco de Mayo. Like nobody is saying like where are the black people
uh,
at when Cinco de Mayo come around? Like why would and then the person that initially said it on the clip didn't even know that it was Juneteenth, that they had the concert on, and the other people was like, well, I think it was on Juneteenth. And he was like, oh, I thought that was the 15th. And they was like, no. And then they actually did Google that. They Googled that point and was like,
they
yeah,
couldn't go a little further
right.
down the page.
Couldn't figure it out why we are celebrating Juneteenth, but they did Google the fact that Juneteenth is June 19th. And then the guy was just like, well, do you think that may have been a part of the reason why it was all black people? But just the sense of entitlement was just beyond me.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it's yeah, the country and the world as a whole, particularly when it comes to African Americans at least, feels entitled to the things we produce, create, celebrate, all that kind of stuff.
hmm
Which is why you'll have somebody saying that kind of ignorant thing to you, but then also using AAVE while they do it.
hmm yeah,
Or they might say, you don't even have a culture,
right.
but you
But
want to be included on Juicy?
right, and Black American culture is a culture.
Yeah, it's just Black American. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
it's the entitlement to the culture
hmm
that keeps people from recognizing that it's actually something created
hmm
by a specific population.
Right.
Just
Right.
because it gets, you know, popular and then produced and reproduced everywhere doesn't mean it didn't come from nowhere.
Right. Right.
It didn't just happen.
Yeah. I don't get it. But whatever. It's it's above my pay grade. So.
Listen, exactly. You know what? You right. Sure. I'll let you.
Right. You got
You right.
it.
Yeah, how about you go to the Juneteenth celebrations and ask them?
Right. Or Google is right there. It's
But
right and
I find
free.
a lot of folks online do what I call enrage to engage. So they
Mhm.
will purposely try to enrage a specific group of people to increase their engagement,
Yeah.
to get people to interact with them.
Right. And it works. It works. I have tried to calm down on my clapbacks, which I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job at that. But this one pissed me off.
Yeah, there's always something where you're like, no, this one I have to respond to.
Right. So yeah. Um
But I find a lot of people do that specifically with Black women, like a
mm,
lot.
yeah, yeah, because we're the ones that will be quick to clap back.
Yeah,
I being one of them. But like I said, I have calmed down a lot. So
yeah, just for your own sake of peace. Like,
Right. Because there'll be sometimes where I'll get the type and I'll be like, you know what?
never
I'm
mind.
not gonna do this today, and I'll erase it and go on to the next thing.
Mhm.
You know.
Same.
So yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much what we talked about on the last episode. So yeah.
All right, Roomies, will join us next time for How to Be a Player.
Yes, and we will see you guys for episode 58.
8.
Bye.
Bye.